sales manager with MoneyWise Mortgage. Wanted to talk about one of the biggest incentives that's out there right now for first-time home buyers. That is the $8,000 tax credit that was recently announced back in February of '09. Now, this tax credit allows first-time home buyers to get a tax credit of up to $8,000. Now, throughout this video, we're going to talk about what's a first-time home buyer, who qualifies for it, what income requirements, what it can be applied to, and so forth. Now, the first thing is, let's define a first-time home buyer. A first-time home buyer is someone who has not had interest in real property or a house in the last 3 years. So if you bought a house 10 years ago, lived in it for a couple of years and sold it, and haven't owned the house over the last 3 years, then you would qualify. Next is you'll receive this credit only if it's going to be your primary residence that you're going to be buying. So it's actually a house. So if you have, if you're trying to buy an investment property or a second house, then this credit does not apply to you. Third, you're going to have to purchase this house between the beginning of January, beginning of 2009, all the way out to November 31st of 2009. So it's only an 11th month window that you can actually qualify for this credit. Third, there's two parts to it. It's the lesser of $8,000 or 10%. Since I'm in the Southern California market, there's not that many homes for sale for $50,000, $60,000. So only address the $8,000 because that's going to be the lesser of the two. Now, the last part of it is there's income requirements for who gets this credit and who doesn't. So for a single person filing taxes on their own, their income limit to it is $75,000. As a married couple, your income requirements is $150,000. So I'm going to use two examples that were released by the National Association of Home Builders to kind of demonstrate this example. The first example is on a married couple. Together they made $160,000. Now, we said earlier that the income requirement is $150,000, so they made $10,000 over. So what we do is we then take the difference, which is $10,000, and divide it by this magical number of $20,000. Now, the $10,000 divided by the $20,000 gives us a half, or 50%. Now, that means the buyer would qualify for half of the $8,000 credit. So for this example, they will get a tax credit of $4,000. The second example is a single person making $88,000. Now, we said earlier again that the income for one person is $75,000. Now, that means that person made $13,000 too much. Again, we take that $13,000 divided by the magical number of $20,000, we get 65%. Now, you take the 65% and you take the inverse of it, which would be 35%. Or a better way to think of it, 1 minus the 6.65, which is 65%, and it'll give you the 0.35 or the 35%. And that is the portion of that $8,000 that you're going to get. So for this bar, again, the $88,000 divided minus the $75,000 gives us the $13,000. You take that $13,000 divided by the $20,000, you get 65%, and you take the inverse 35% times the $8,000 that you would qualify for. So that means this bar in this example would get $2,800 tax credit. Now, the difference between a tax credit and then a tax deduction is with a deduction, it's the, if it's an $8,000 deduction, it's minus your actual income, your taxable income. So as an example, if you made $50,000, you get this $8,000 tax deduction. That means your taxable income now is going to be $42,000, as opposed to a tax credit, which is a true dollar for dollar credit. So in any of those examples, if the bars or the taxpayers were to pay $2,000 that year, or owe $2,000 that year, they would apply for the full tax credit. So they would make combined under the $150, and they would get the full $8,000. They had a liability of $2,000 with the $8,000 tax credit. They're actually going to get back $6,000 in the refund. Now, with that said, I would like a disclaimer out there. Please contact your tax professional where they would better advise you, since that's not my profession. If you have any questions, please give me a call. The biggest thing about first-time home buying is educating yourself, making sure you know of everything that's out there before you make that decision. Here, I'm a big believer in education and educating my clients. So if you want, please look around, see other videos out there that I have on YouTube, and educate yourself. Take the time, watch some videos. I also like to encourage you. One of the videos is a first-time homebuyer workshop, where we're talking about a couple things more in detail: credit, the buying process, this tax credit, again in a little bit more detail. I'd like to invite you out to that. Hope you enjoyed this little educational video. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. My number will just come in. Will be displayed below, and my email address, so feel free to give us a call. Thanks again for watching this video, and hope to hear from you soon.